This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Agrodaje. But before that, this video is brought to you by Dang Driver and Farmer Ben. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Agrodaje map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this 4X map is available for PC players only. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to Agrodaje. A map 4X is fully adapted for multiplayer. I hope that the map will meet the requirements of the players. On the map you can find 1 city, 3 villages, 6 farm locations, 4 biogas plants, machine store in the center of the map, vehicle repair shop at their vehicle sales area, sawmill, very large forest, 253 viable farmlands, 19 purchase centers, including 4 railroads, 5 railroad warehouses, 4 liming stations, 9 production facilities, although my count was 16, 4 animal purchase points, 6 fueling stations, street and pedestrian traffic, 4 e-charging stations, and 2 rock crushers. I guess I'm kind of getting in the season, and I thought to myself, well, we were doing a countdown 12 days of Christmas. All those numbers there. Let's go ahead and log into the map. We are going to use the mods that we typically use to take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. Now, I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will find that the main farm is built out with just the farmhouse. The other buildings, which aren't very, very large anyway, in new farmer mode, are not there in those alternate play modes. In addition, you do not have any starting machinery in those alternate game modes. But we do have this map now loaded up in new farmer mode. And in all play modes, you're going to start here at the vehicle shop. And in new farmer mode, well, you're going to have your used pickup truck, your heavily used pickup truck here at the shop. And then in all play modes, the shop does have a forklift that you're going to be able to make use of. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA itself. Now, since this is a 4X map, these fields are much larger than they would initially appear. In fact, they're 4 times larger than one might think they appear if you assume that this is not a standard size map. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22 available on this map. And if we take a look at our lands area, you'll see we start out by owning farmland ID 90, 91, and 92. 92 is the starting farmland itself. That is 4.4 acres in size and costs $121,000. We start out with field 41 and 42. And in addition to that, we have 4 biogas plants. As the description said, you do have to buy the BGA at the BGA. The BGA land is not viable here from the lands area, but we have BGA locations just south of field 60, south of field 8, below field 127, and beside field 97. Now, the description said that there were 6 farm locations. I've only been able to find 5. The starting farm, which is located right here. Then we also have a small building plot over here, farmland ID 50. We have a building plot at farmland ID 98. We have a building plot at farmland ID 74 and farmland ID 198. So I do seem to be short 1 or 2 building plots. Maybe we'll see them when we're flying around the map. I'm not really sure because these additional building areas are very, very small. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the viable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included, then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us. Given the fact that this map has 253 viable farmlands, this is going to take us quite a little bit of time. See, many of these farmlands are somewhere between 1.5 to 5 hectares in size. There are, of course, some farmlands that are outside of that range, but many of them do fall within that generally accepted range. And as such, they generally fall somewhere between $250,000 or less. I did see a couple large plots that probably were forests that were over $1 million each. Right here, farmland 242, 20 hectares in size, $1.3 million. Now let's go ahead and cross-reference this with our field calculator screen. This is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. And then we can go back and cross-reference that with our field calculator screen, with the farmland lease screen, and then get an idea of what it's going to cost to buy any one particular field. As I said, even though this is a 4X map, lots of these fields are anywhere between 1.5 and 3 hectares in size. So fairly modest sized fields given the size of the map. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how the precision farming soil map is being applied to these fields. As you can see, this map is making use of the generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. Let's go ahead and take a look at our crop counter. We are making use of the standard crop counter. Once again, that is available to us in Farm Sim 22. And if we take a look at our prices screen, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops. We also have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. As we move down through the base game production items, we once again do indeed have the ability to sell all of the base game production items that are available to us in Farm Sim 22. In addition, we do have the ability to buy bulk lime, as well as sell stones at 2 different stone crushers. Now, the story changes when we start taking a look at the Platinum Expansion production items, because the map does not support selling any of those without putting down your own Platinum Expansion production item sell point. But we do have the ability to sell our separated manure at 2 different locations. Now, there is a very, very shocking thing that we're going to find here with respect to our starting fleet. It is all terribly, terribly maintained. In fact, we've got 150 hours on everything. None of it has any maintenance done to it. And as such, there is basically no resale value in it at all. So if you are someone that typically would sell off all the starting equipment to help pad out your banking account, well, you're going to be a little bit disappointed on this map. We do not have any animal pens at the start. We do have contracts available. We do not own any production chains at the start. And this map is making use of the 100 Elm Creek collectibles. Let's take a look at that well-worn starting fleet. We've got the Steyr 8150 small tractor. We have the Valtra Valmet 8750 and Massey Ferguson MS 3670 medium tractors. We've got the Deucefar Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H grain header and 4090H harvester header trailer. We have our 2017 pickup truck that we've already seen here at the shop. We have a Rabe EG39 cultivator, the Nordstein HK25 NS 3030 seeder and power harrow combination, and then a pair of 750 kilogram front weights. Taking a look at our mods and DLCs, this map does not have any custom vehicles or machinery included with it. I'm just going to quickly tab over to our starting farm. We have our well-worn harvester already set up to harvest our starting field of wheat. We have our Valtra set up to start seeding and cultivating. Our Steyr is set up way over here with our trailer. Then here we have our starting farm. You're looking at it. We have the Holt Betheroon farmhouse with sleep trigger and wardrobe trigger in the garage. We've got our base game silo off in the distance with our dump point and fill point where one would expect them. Then we have an easy shed for our vehicles and machinery. Now, everything that you see here can be sold, so we can sell all 3 buildings. And in the alternate play modes, a farmhouse is the only thing that we start with. We can also get rid of this white fencing if we wish to. So if we wanted to, we could take this all the way down to a bare pad of dirt. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look at our build mode. This map does not include any custom sheds, silos extensions, containers, tools, or farmhouses. Everything is base game as delivered with any expansion content you may have activated. In addition, we do not have any custom productions, sell points, greenhouses, orchards, or generators. We're all stock on our animals, decoration, and, well, basically for the most part, stock on our landscaping ground textures. Let's go ahead and pull those up just to take a look. We have our animal mud, asphalt, concrete, dirt, forest ground, grass, dry grass, gravel, rock, and granite. All fairly standard ground textures from Farm Sim 22. We have standard plants and standard trees as well. Now, for the sake of brevity, I have gone ahead and enabled fast running mode, so we can kind of run around this map fairly quickly. But like I said, this is a 4x map, so we do have 4 times the land area that one would typically have on a standard sized map. Got some production points down below here. We have one of our trains. There are 4 trains on this map. All 4 are looping around 4 independent tracks. And as such, there's going to be several train transfer stations to transfer product from one train to the next, or from train to trailer. We have sell point down below, little village. As well as a production point. This map does have subtle rolling hills. Nothing too extreme. Here we have one of the biogas plants that we can purchase. Fairly decent building area here for the BGA. Now all we get is the BGA proper, but once we buy the biogas plant, we will own this land, so we could put down silage bunkers or other things. As we continue down the southern edge of the map, we've got one of our fuel points. Another sell point below there. You kind of take a look across the northern side of the map as well. Now we're coming up here to one of the potential alternate building sites. And like I said, it is a fairly small pad right here. In fact, let's just toss down a building as a frame of reference. Let's look at the farmhouse, because we all know what the farmhouse size is. So it's basically a little bit more than a farmhouse wide. And about 2 and a part farmhouses long. So it's really not that large of a building pad. And I've only been able to count 4 of those building pads, as opposed to the 6 that the map author put in the description. Coming now across the western edge of the map. So we have more sell points below. Another little village there. There is another one of those building pads that I mentioned. We have a dock sell point with a cargo boat, cargo ship. located right here. Now, as far as productions being built into the map, we have 16 at my count, which includes a spinnery, sawmill, bakery, a cheese dairy, grain mill, crystal cuker, which we'll take a look at here in a little bit, raisin factory, oil, cereal, chocolate, carpentry, tailor, and 4 biogas plants. Coming now across the top of the map, here we have the 3rd BGA. And then if we go forward a little bit, we're going to come across one of the other building pads. In fact, you can probably barely just make it out right there in front of you. We're heading right for it. So, fairly small building areas. I was really looking for things a little bit bigger, kind of similar to the starting farm area. This was the village that we took a look at earlier. Then we have our 4th biogas plant. And we'll make our way back over here to the vehicle shop. So with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such, we are going to be giving the map a full point there. We're also going to be giving the map a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such. We're going to be giving the map a full point on being able to sell all the basic crops, animal output, and production points, as well as a full point with respect to the farms being customizable, because the main starting farm, which is the only farm with buildings pre-placed on the map, we can sell all of those buildings without any issues whatsoever. And then all the other build modes, building sites are pretty much void of everything. So assuming the spawn point continues beyond these parking lot markers, we've got a pretty decent size here for our vehicles to spawn in at. Just taking a look around the back and seeing if we can find out where the service bay is located. Not seeing the service bay trigger, so it must be at an alternate location. Going ahead and purchased all of the productions that are available on the map here. And as you can see, they are all fairly standard. We have our spinnery, our sawmill that's going to make planks and wood chips, our bread factory, which is basically our bakery, is going to be making bread and cakes. Our cheese dairy is just a normal dairy making butter, cheese, and chocolate. Grain mill, fairly standard. Crystal cooker or clucker is going to be our sugar factory here. We have a raisin factory, which is the grape processing center. We have our oil mill, our cereal mill, chocolate factory, carpentry, tailor, and then the 4 biogas plants. Do have a pretty decent sized gate area here to get out of the shop, which is good to see. Now the road textures are a little rough. These feel and look like older road textures from maybe FS17 or further back. They just really seem to stand out compared to the gravel textures right next to them. Let's see what I mean here. One of our train transfer silos is over here to our right. I was hoping this road would take me over to it. I seem to be having some difficulty managing all of these roads. We've got roads going every which way but loose. Right, Clyde? So we'll do our best here. Although I feel like at this point, I'm going every which way but the way I want to go. Now, with respect to buildings where purposely are using the new texturing technique as well as ground textures, we're going to be giving the map a half of a point. I mentioned already the road textures felt a little rough compared to the newer ground textures, and we're going to find that scattered around the map we do have a mix of new and old building textures as well. If you wanted your free collectible, there you go. We got a little horse at the bridge. All 99 of the other collectibles are up to you to locate. Got one of our several fuel stations located over here. I do want to turn back because I felt like I was on the right road at least to get to somewhere. So, interesting enough, little factoid, this map previously was released on Friday of last week. We had 2 maps released Friday of last week. And then before I could get off from work, well, this map vanished. But I'm glad to see it now back after just under 1 week of being gone. Here we have an interactive icon for our Taylor. We have our dump point. And then our pallet spawn point. And then our wardrobe trigger around the back. Let's make our way up to the dock because the cargo ship and the loading crane associated with the cargo ship is another one of those fairly rough textures. Really does clash with the higher quality textures that you're going to find immediately beside it. I believe over here to the right we're going to find a lime buying point. Indeed we do. Indeed we do. Feel the next trigger is actually up on the other side of that retaining wall where the train is going right now. We have an e-charging station. A little. There we go. We have the dump point for our sell point here at the dock. A little confused. I would not say that that was a result of the map, though. There we have a stone crusher, one of the two stone crushers on the map. Then we have a train transfer silo here. Dump points. Then we have a silo fill and dump for the train. This may also be a sell point. There's we have our rent train icon. Let's continue around in a clockwise fashion. One of the large forests is over here to our left. Not that sparsely populated with trees. But again, it is a 4X map, so it is much larger than one would initially think it is just looking at the PDA. We have to a northern village. We have one of our animal dealers located right here. Here we have the Flora sell point. Behind us we have the chocolate factory and our train transfer station. Chocolate factory is actually on the other side. Right over there we have our interactive icon, our dump point. And now our pallet spawn point is going to be along the front of the building. Indeed it is. Then we have our train transfer silo that we already looked at. It's going to be one where we're going to be able to transfer from two different train lines. So 2 rent train triggers. We have 2 dump and fill triggers for the trains. And we should have a singular dump and fill for our silo, or sorry, a silo or a trailer. Yep, right there they go. looks like we're gonna have to cut down here a fair bit to the... Oh, that was extreme. Don't drive on the tracks. It's probably a bad idea. We gotta drive down here to our biogas plant in order to get to a vehicular bridge to cross the river. Now, something I do want to check is at the BGA, can we sell the BGA itself? I had not... Oh, there's a fence there. I had not tried that earlier. Now that we own all the biogas plants, let's see what happens. Sell. Yes, indeed. It does go away. So that itself is going to give us a nice building plot. If we wanted to make this a farm area. Plus we get a nice little pad of $850,000. Go toward building out our own custom farm. I feel like we're going to find a fuel station across the river here. We have multiple traffic splines because we now had two vehicles there that went into the traffic circle. One made a full 360, the other did not. Now further up here to the northeast, we do have, again, another biogas plant, as well as a train transfer yard. A bit of rolling grassland available on the map. It's also looking at these distant mountains. They looked a little shiny and metallic-y. So we have our biogas plant over here to the left. Trying to stay on the road because clearly the edge of the road's a little rough. We have another fuel point. And if we go to our left, we're going to end up at another train transfer silo. I do think this map would be decent for a multiplayer. Someone who's, or a group of people who are looking for a lot of fields and to play with smaller machinery. And here I feel we have our carpentry. So we have our wood cell trigger. our interactive icon, and our pallet spawn point. Then we have what I feel is our grain mill. Oh, sorry, this is our cheese and dairy. So our pallet spawn point, interactive icon, and dump point. Well, the cheese and dairy looks an awful lot like a grain mill, but okay, we'll go with it. We have our starting farm over here to our right. We have another animal dealer in the village just south of our starting farm. I feel like we're going to find an animal dealer at each village now. We got a little school here. I don't know why. I'm just having a hard time trying to navigate looking at the PDA while I'm driving here. So we've got an electric charging station. We have a grocery sell point. And then what I was trying to get to was the grain mill. I just took a completely wrong turn. Guess I'm just completely discombobulated with my sense of direction today. So here we have the grain mill. Looks like one would expect a grain mill to look like. We're at dump point. Pallet spawn point. Not necessarily seeing the interactive point at that particular production. Here we have our vehicle shop. So now we gotta be cautious we don't go the same direction. Let's turn left at the next available intersection. This way and over to another train silo. Very, very windy roads we've got going on here. I do feel if I gave points for ease of navigation, well, we'd be taking some points off on this map because I have been suffering a fair bit of getting around. We've got our dump point here. This is going to be our sugar mill. Yes. No, this is our bakery. Out spawn point. Another lime buy point over there. With an animal dealer to our left, a fuel point to our right. And then there were two triggers that we missed coming into town here. Sawmill triggers there. We have our bakery. Railroad sell point. We have another transfer station. We have our spinnery down here to the south. I think my navigation woes are because the fields are so numerous, right? There's so many field numbers, and the roads are very, very narrow on the PDA itself, and they're very winding. So I'm having a hard time of getting a sense of which way I'm going on any one particular turn. We have a train transfer yard. A little tight getting in there with the rock. The rocks. Definitely, now that I've been driving around here more, thinking you do not want to be on this map with large machinery, just because of the narrowness of the roads, the accesses into some of these sell points and production points. It's a 4X map that's really good for players who are looking to get a larger sense of space. They want something that's going to take a while for them to drive around to get from point A to point B, while at the same time not having huge fields that are going to really take a long time to work with. We have our dump points here for our spinnery. An e-charging station right around the corner here. Out spawn point and interactive icon. We have a train transfer silo. Dump and a fill point. I am a bit curious if anyone knows maybe why the map was pulled last week and then re-released. Glad it's re-released. I'd hate to see maps get pulled and never come back. Overall, the system runs fairly well. The map runs fairly well. I'm not noticing any hitching or stuttering. Collectibles don't appear to be too terribly difficult to find. I think we've probably driven past 20 of them already. I think we'll hit just a couple more things here on the southern part of the map, and then probably call it there. It would probably take a fairly long time to try to run around and catch everything we missed because of how the road network is set up. Really tight getting into here. is for sure. We have a sell point for grain and bales at this facility. We have another fuel point. And then we're making our way over to another BGA. So overall, player and interactive areas being clearly marked. I'm going to give the map 3/4 of a point there. So that's going to end up giving this map a score of 4.25 out of 5. It's a very nice, fairly easy to run 4X map. Ideally for players that are looking to use small to medium-sized machinery. When I say medium-sized machinery, I'm talking about things that are probably 6 meters or less. Ideally still able to be folded up and not run around the map at 6 meters wide, because I think you would run into issues with the narrowness of these roads and the traffic circles as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map. Are you going to be giving it a try? Do you like 4X maps? Do you prefer larger fields on 4X maps, or maps like this that just have a lot more space to them but still maintain the fairly easy, fairly quick fields to get processed without having to have a whole lot of large machinery? And until next time, happy farming.